What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. So I want to continue on my kind of new free agency trend and stuff like that and trade stuff. My last 4 videos are in the description down below. I did the 5 best trade destinations for Francisco Lindor. We did Nolan Arenado, Blake Snell, and Marco Gonzales, who's the ace pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. Now I'm going to turn to free agency side. So today I want to talk about the best 5 fits for DJ LeMahieu, one of the top free agents available this offseason, and the #1 or priority of the New York Yankees to re-sign him. But that said, he's got a lot of suitors. He's kind of like a couple of these other free agents, JT Realmuto, who's going to be the next video, by the way. Okay, and the video after that, I'm going to do the 5 best fits for George Springer, and then I'm going to keep going down a list of a couple more people. By now, we're already a little bit past the winter meetings, and when things have started to kick up. And always look in the description down below for not only my videos, but I also put updates as well as to who signed, who did this, who did that, to kind of keep track of what's going on in free agency. Once things get a little bit crazier, I'll do a summary towards the end of the off season about how teams did, a breakdown of what each team did, and the winners, losers, and so on and so forth. So I'll break that down later on, once things are kind of past the majority of the signings, or the meat and potatoes of the signings. But today I want to go over the top 5 free agency fits for DJ LeMahieu. He's been, in my opinion, and a lot of other opinions, the MVP of the New York Yankees over the last 2 years. He was always an all-star hitter. He was a batting title. He won a batting title in Colorado, but then he came over here and really elevated his game, and they realized that he was the perfect fit for this team, and he gave the Yankees something that they haven't had for a while, which is just a consistent contact hitter. Just a blue-collar guy. He was solid everywhere. He won the batting title here, too. He batted, was it 366 or 367 this year? And he's batted almost 340 in the last 2 years being with the Yankees. And he was an absolute steal. He was a steal. And, so he's available for the taking. So right now, and he's got a lot of suitors. And so I want to talk about the 5 best fits, all right? Number 5, the Los Angeles Angels. I mean, he would be a perfect veteran to go in there and add to Mike Trout and Rendon and Shohei Ohtani and a couple of those other players that they have as well. Another veteran there who would bring not only stability and additional depth to the lineup, but a good contact hitter. And he's clutch. That's one of the things, too. He was consistent when the Yankees were not playing well and when they were playing well. And that's a unique trait, in my opinion, of a player. Consistent all around. And this guy was consistent no matter how the team was playing. And that, to me, is a sign of a very good player. And I think he would bring that same value over to Los Angeles and really help enhance that lineup. Now, they actually, they have a more dire need for pitching. So I would imagine that they're going to be going after guys like Trevor Bauer and some other players as well to complement Dylan Bundy. But DJ LeMahieu would be a perfect fit over in Los Angeles. He would really, really give that lineup a lot of punch. And we don't really know how Joe Adell is developing, how quickly he's going to accelerate, how slowly it's going to take for him to kind of really translate that superstar, super prospect status over to the major leagues, and I hope it does because he's a good-looking player. But if you add him and then you add DJ LeMahieu, you have like almost a modern-day murderer's row. That's a heck of a lineup. And plus, he plays solid defense. He could play second. He could play move around the diamond. It'll be mostly second and first with Rendon at third, and while Simmons is out now, but they're probably going to bring in either another shortstop to replace Andrelton Simmons, like a Didi Gregorius or someone else, or somebody via trade. But he still has the ability to play multiple positions, and he gives the team a lot of value. So that's team number 5. Team number 4, Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, a perfect veteran to join that young group of just potential superstar players and budding superstars. You have Biggio, Bichette, you have Vlad Jr., you have that mixture of players there. Gurriel, I think it's Gurriel too. And he'd be another guy to really go in there and Not only solidify some of that infield defense, but bring extra balance to the lineup. And again, I think his bat would play well in any stadium. And he's a good contact hitter. And you hit the ball in the gap in Toronto, the ball carries. So, you get a lot of doubles. Potentially some triples too. But he'd be hitting a hell of a lot of doubles, in my opinion. And that's a good thing. And, he's clutch on the field. He's clutch he's clutch at the plate. And he would bring, leadership to the clubhouse. He would really add defense. And again, just like the Angels, he'd add defense to the infield. He would add punch and just consistency and stability to the offense. And the Toronto Blue Jays are, kind of trying to get to that next level to be up there with the Tampa Bay Rays and the Yankees. And a guy like him, especially if you take him from a division rival, that's going to really, really elevate the Blue Jays, in my opinion. They obviously need more pitching, too. I think they struck gold last year with Rio, but they need another pitcher or two there. They did re-sign Robbie Ray, but they still need at least one more pitcher. And if they bring in DJ LeMahieu, that would really, really, really make that team a legit threat. So they're number 4 best fit for me. Number 3, the Washington Nationals. He could play first base. They didn't really have a first baseman. He could play second. And he's definitely an upgrade over Josh Harrison and Starlin Castro. And again, he could be a starting first baseman too there. And the owners there have shown a willingness to spend, particularly. And they won the World Series 2 years ago. They had a rough year. This year, I can see them, especially with that three-man, the three-headed monster in the pitching rotation, adding a player of LeMahieu's character. And again, he'd be kind of like Howie Kendrick clutch. Hendrick was money in the playoffs in 2019. DJ LeMahieu brings that same type of not only skill set, but that same type of kind of fortitude on the field. And he was there when teams needed them most, particularly in the Yankees. He was clutch. He was Mr. Playoffs for the Yankees. He carried the team when they stunk, and he elevated them when they were really good. I think he would do the same for the Nationals. And they really haven't been the same since Rendon left. They lost that kind of offensive leader, the offensive kind of stabilizer or captain. I think he would be a good guy to kind of replace Rendon. Not only his offense, even though he's a little bit more of a contact hitter than Rendon, being a power type of guy. But again, this guy can be a losing streak stopper. He's a guy that can drive runners over, make the clutch play in the field, and do a lot of things. And he's another one. You bring that bat to that lineup, and they have other holes to fill too. But you bring DJ LeMahieu to Washington, and they'll be right up into contender status in the NL East. They'll be going after the Phillies and the Mets, and they'll probably be ahead of some of them anyway. But and then the Braves, that'd be the next goal. And the Braves have already made some moves this offseason that are going to make him harder to beat. But I think he'd be a number 3. That's the number 3 best fit in my opinion for DJ. Number 2, San Diego Padres. I think Greg Garcia is his name. He's their current second baseman. He's also 31 years old. Even though DJ's 32, he's a clear upgrade over what they have currently at second base, and they have shown a willingness to spend. And I think they're going to spend this offseason, particularly with Mike Clevenger down. I would not be surprised if they go and overpay for Trevor Bauer. I would not be surprised, but that was a setback, and I think they're going to do what it takes to try to compete and try to go after the Dodgers. So you bring in a guy like DJ LeMahieu to play second. Then you've got Tatis, Machado, LeMahieu, and Eric Hosmer. That's a legit infield. Okay, that's a really legit infield. And again, bringing that same skill set over in San Diego was somebody that would really, really benefit that team in so many ways as well. And another veteran leader, a clutch hitter, and somebody who can maybe help propel them. I think they're going to make another mover pitching either way, even if it's not Trevor Bauer. But DJ LeMahieu, I think to me is that they're the number 2 fit because he feels a need and they're in a prime position to spend. Now the Mets might be. I know how people talk about the Mets, but I don't see him as a logical positional choice for the Mets. They could just bring him in and be a superfluous piece, but they have a lot of infielders already. They can move around and stuff like that. So it just doesn't seem like a logical fit to me. But crazier things have happened. So they clearly want to contend, but they have bigger needs than second base, the Mets. And the number one fit is still the New York Yankees, in my opinion. He should be priority number one. I know they've been negotiating for a while. He is insistent on a 5-year deal. The Yankees haven't been budging from 4 years, so hopefully they'll come to a compromise, either a higher annual value for $4 million a year, even though he said that he's willing to take less money, but he wants to have a 5-year deal, which will lower the annual value. But I don't know. I know he'll very likely get 5 years from somebody. So if the Yankees don't give it to him, somebody will overpay him for 5 years. But I still think he's the right fit for the Yankees. He wants to be there. They want to have him back. He's their team MVP. It makes too much sense, okay? And they need him. They've been overly reliant on the home run at the expense of a lot of strikeouts recently, and they need a guy like that to stabilize the lineup. Okay, there are other moves that they need to make too. They need to improve in the infield too, but him playing second base or him moving to first base, if they trade Luke Voit for Francisco Lindor or a starter or something like that, it creates opportunities. So he does have that versatility where he can move over to first base, in which case they would move Gleyber Torres to second and another shortstop, or if that happens to be a scenario. Yes, they need pitching too, but they need DJ LeMahieu back. He's their team MVP. And they need him. So he's the number one fit. They're the number one fit for him, in my opinion. But he will have a lot of suitors. It's pretty clear. And there'll be some team that'll strike, with either a very high, like a 5-year, $110 million deal, maybe even a 5-year with a 6-year option. Somebody's going to massive overpay for him. And that's where I'm a little leery, because he's 32 years old. So, but he seems to me like a player who will age more gracefully than some other 32-year-olds. And I mentioned that in some other videos as well. So, to me, he's worth the risk. And if you can get him on a 4-year deal, perfect, or a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option based on vesting games played or vesting at bats or whatever over the 3rd and 4th year, something to entice him. But it just, he should be coming back to the Yankees. If he doesn't, there's going to be a lot of angry Yankee fans. So those are my 5 best fits for DJ LeMahieu. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and hit that notification so you don't miss the videos that I'll be putting out moving forward. My next one's the 5 best fits for JT Realmuto, who's the top catcher in baseball and clearly the top free agent catcher out there as well. So be on the lookout for that. Be safe, look out for each other, and I'll see you then.